Okay, so we're back now to discuss, whoops, I'm having a difficult time with my computer, where we're going to discuss the standard error of estimate. So the standard error of estimate is, if you recall, errors are really residuals. It's where our expectation and our observations deviate. And so if you go back to our figure here, the red line is what we should be expecting, and the open dots are what's observed. And what we want to be able to do is express the level of uncertainty we have about our overall regression equation. And the way we do that is we calculate the standard error of our estimate. And this encapsulates how much residual we have, or the average expected deviation from between our expected value and the observed value. So it tells us on average how much we should expect, but how much we should expect given per degree of freedom. And the standard error of estimate, or xy, so this is for a bivariate model, is equal to the square root, and this formula right here, I'm not going to read it off, that's kind of silly. But what I want to do is I want to show you that the standard error of estimate, SXY, is here the square root of the sum of the squared residuals, that's this line right here, divided by n minus 2. And the reason why it's n minus 2 is the degrees of freedom are calculated by our total sample size minus each parameter that we estimate. So if you think about what we've done so far, is we've calculated 2 regression parameters, and you can see in our output here we have the intercept and the slope, or A and B, as we've talked about. So the way we calculate this, I have the calculation, and I'm just going to calculate it this way, and I'm going to type in SXY, and you see here it's 2.18327. And if you look at all of the output for our LM1 model, that's just the name I gave our first regression, you'll see here residual standard error 2.183 on 3 degrees of freedom. Now, how is it 3 degrees of freedom? Well, n minus 2 is 3 degrees of freedom, because we're calculating 2 regression parameters, and we started out where n is equal to 5. So we started out with 5 observations. We take away 2 degrees of freedom for A and B, 1 for A, 1 for B, and that leaves us with a degrees of freedom of 3. So what does that tell us? Well, that alone doesn't tell us a whole lot. That is our uncertainty with respect to making predictions given this regression equation. And what we're going to do subsequently is we're going to talk about where the standard error of estimate comes into play for calculating the standard error of B and the standard error of A. So stay tuned for that. Now what we've done is we've already calculated the standard error of estimate, and it's the estimate for our level of uncertainty given our regression results.